Hey guys, Astral Authority with us, KP, or Layers of Death, I should say, whatever your name is these days, and Inbound. Guys, you guys don't know exactly who you're going to play against up yet. Right now, it's Rival versus Elevate playing against one another, but is it really that important to you who you're going to play, or are you kind of focusing more on what you guys want to do?
Having the 1-game lead just gives us like an extra like safety pick. So I don't know. It really doesn't matter who we face. It should be a quick 2 games, and you guys can get out of here.
Well, can you all talk to us a little bit about some of the prep work that you were doing, since you do kind of have to prepare for possibly, we don't know exactly which team. Like, what was y'all's prep work like for that? Maybe last night, this morning, whatever y'all were doing.
We still have like the same drafts from yesterday. We plan to go buy them. The drafts worked for us, obviously, since we won. We're just going to stick to it.
Both of your sets yesterday, though, were 2-1 victories over both of these teams, so you know that there are things that you can work on. What were some of the things that you identified in the game losses that you are going to try to remedy today?
Well, in the 1 game against Rival that we lost, we overthought the draft, and it ended up messing us up, and we ended up like losing the game off of it. And then just like, yeah, we just like got really far behind and picked really late game drafts. Both of those teams are early game teams, and we picked like a Geb, so we like just threw the early game and just hoped to get the late game, which
also,
is what we should do.
1 game against Elevate, I'm pretty sure like I was just fried that 1 game, but I beezed before like the Aries all. I don't even know what I was doing.
Yeah, he beads.
I was like, I thought I had my dash up. I was chained. I thought I had my dash up. I beezed, and I looked down. My dash is down, and then I just get like pulled. I just use my beads. So I'm just like, okay.
Well, yeah, that kind of stuff can happen. But, I mean, you talked a little bit about picks and bans there, Bobby. What is it? I feel like those are the biggest indicator at these last 2 lands of who's going to do well. What's made them so important now, and what's y'all's picks bans process like when you all are in there, like, going through your god selections?
You just kind of got to know what the other team is going to pick and like what some of their picks are. We knew Preds had a pocket pick Afro, and we banned out his other god, so we either knew that it was that coming or his Wukong. And when he picked the Afro, he picked into a really bad comp, and we just had outdrafted him at that point. And as from the gameplay you saw, we just destroyed him. But yeah, drafts are like just gonna be huge important for us and whoever we face.
Bobby, everyone has been talking in these podiums about your duo lane and how they don't really respect it. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, we literally blood everyone, and they're just fans of our work, so they just gotta insult us.
Fans of our work.
Well, I'll get y'all out of here on this last one. I do and wish y'all luck here in your next upcoming game. But, Bobby, I mean, is there any soda you can think of in particular that is just really, really bad, and any idiot that likes it?
I cannot stand Dr. Pepper. It is so bad, and if you support it like aggro, you're just wrong. You're wrong.
We'll go ahead and get you out of here on that one. Absolutely, thank you, and good luck in y'all's games.
Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the console finals. Tom, Taco, and Toli, 3 T's. And yeah, laughing about that one. The guys on Astral Authority, always a pleasure to talk to.
It's just because that's such a Finch thing to do, where he's like, I get the final question here no matter what, so aggro, you're wrong.
That's what they're always going about. They're always looking for ways to kind of see who's wrong and who's not between aggro and Finch.
We're going to figure Toli out in just a moment, but watching these guys come together has been a lot of fun. We're all the way here in the finals, and the teams have really fought to get here. It's been the double elimination, so we have teams coming out of the lower bracket. Rival actually appears here, and this is going to be a best of 5, essentially, but one team has the advantage. Instead of the old-fashioned bracket reset, we're going to give Astral Authority, since they came through the winner's side, a 1-game advantage.
And this is some pretty heavy effects, I think, overall with the team mentality, because we know that Rival are just coming out fresh from a set, but I think that if anything, that this won't play as a hindrance card towards them. I think that Rival still feel fairly motivated. If anything, they're even more motivated, because not only did they just topple the #1 seed from North America coming into this land, despite Elevate being in the lower bracket, but they also have that, I guess, the player high in a sense of a way, because I think that everybody was able to get a solo kill respectively for their role, except for 50-meter fly. I don't think he ever actually found the solo kill against the Crimson, and for good reason. It's hard to solo kill Crimson.
I mean, that said, he's played Zeus 3 times and has yet to die on Zeus. So certainly a very powerful guy in his own right. Like we said, winding here all the way in the finals. It's been a really, really fun ride. Let's see if Toli's ready. How'd you like everything?
I think everything is going to be A-OK.
I got to cut you off.
I
Sorry,
think
Tully.
that,
Mike's still not working, but let's take a look at the bracket and see how everybody worked out here and got all the way to the finals. Astral on the top end, Rival on the bottom side, but Taco, like we said, Rival certainly not too shabby.
Rival have had their complications, I think, throughout the entirety of this LAN, but there are certainly still some things that they could be planning on smoothing out. I think, importantly, the objective control is going to be the main thing that Rival really need to keep an eye on for here, because they did struggle a little bit in that set against Elevate. We saw a couple of dropped objectives, a couple of even dropped invades, and so they need to make sure that they have their gameplay completely smoothed out if they want to expect to get a nice set victory here over Astral.
Astral have been looking really, really clean. I think the one downside to their gameplay, despite what Bobby did say, there is a weak point in that Hunter position. Looking at that duo lane, Bobby has been lifting it up, and Coviiii has been able to dance. We have seen him even found a solo kill against Vaporish Coast. We'll see if he can do it again here in the finals, but Coviiii has definitely been where the enemy teams look to sort of penetrate.
I think that this LAN has allowed I know that I definitely had my doubts coming into this LAN looking at Coviiii in the Hunter role, but you know what? He is still relatively new to the position. He's only been playing it for about half a year, and I think that those kind of role swaps are not necessarily easy to make, especially when you're coming in to a very competitive environment as far as hunters are concerned. I think this is probably the best circuit of hunters we've ever had spread across multiple regions, and so that is another important note to take. But Coviiii has really stepped it up this LAN for what it's worth. I was watching back the games last night even, and I think that in comparison to Coviii's online play, I don't know what he did, if it was eating his Wheaties or something in between that down period to now, but he has definitely picked it up in that Hunter position.
Well, don't forget, this is everybody's fighting to be the champion of the spring split, but we've got 3 splits, and the final one winds up at DreamHack, baby. Is a big deal. Go ahead and snatch your HRX tickets November 16th to the 18th. We got the PC World Championship. We got the Console World Championship. Paladins, homies. You even get to see famous commentator Gormizer at DreamHack, so you definitely don't want to miss it.
You get to meet the casters, you get to meet some other fans, and on top of all that, you maybe get to just come down and have a great time, get to see what it's like from the player perspective, and just getting to meet a bunch of new folks can always be a bit of a fun experience.
Here's the biggest deal for me, Taco, is that you're in the heart of Atlanta. When your players come here, we're a little bit north of Atlanta, shouts to Migos, so everything's a little bit sleepier, let's say, here in suburbia. But down, we're at the Congress Center. I mean, that's where Magic tournaments happen. That's where Call of Duty tournaments happen. That's where all the big stuff goes down. And, of course, there's going to be other games at DreamHack as well. So this is a really big moment. I'm stupid excited about it, and I really can't wait to get there. That's fall. Right now is spring, and we're going to have some fun in the springtime as well. Make a Wish, our friends over there, are going to be coming to town May 24th at 1 p.m. The Spring Fling returning.
And you're eating the mayo.
I'm not eating the mayo.
Somebody has to eat the mayonnaise, and it's definitely not going to be me.
You know who it is? We're inviting Jeff and Barracuda to come through to the studio. We're gonna make them eat the helmets. That's what's gonna happen.
Oof. Probably shouldn't have given them the warning in advance, but I think that all things considered, they'd probably be down for it. It is for charity. That's what you guys peer pressured me with.
That's the biggest deal. Now, of course, you saw on the screen, if you go ahead and donate a whole ton of money, you're going to be gifted with some of the more limited stuff, some of those Tier 5s, the Legendary Pool Sidon. But, of course, you don't have to lead the charge. You can go ahead and give whatever you can. Make a Wish is a really big deal. Something I really resonate well with, when it comes down to that sort of thing. Definitely want to pump that out. And shout-outs to Mike, actually, if you've watched our Spring Flings, the return of Mike, the guy that put Rain Day in his place. I'm certainly a fan of him.
I think that it's hard not to be a fan of anybody that can get one in on Rain Day every now and then. We have such a hard time clowning him. He's just so immune to everything.
Yeah.
He's just such a composed guy. It's always nice seeing him get a little bit frazzled there.
He embraces the storm, so he stays stoic all the time. Really intense there coming out from our Paladins buddies. But Spring Fling, all out of fun and certainly for a great cause. So that'll be a little bit later. Fall's HRX. Spring is the fling. Right now is the finals. Let's get into it, baby. Astral Authority taking on Rival. Astral from the top side, Rival from the lower side. So you do see that 1-game advantage. That's not a mistake. It's a best of 5. So first to 3 wins will be the victor. As far as the first game is concerned, what are you expecting?
The confidence factor from Astral Authority, I want to see that being pushed into their gameplay yet again here today. Inbound, I think, is not very... he's not a quiet dude in the slightest. He likes to be boisterous, he likes to be loud, and he likes to get up in your face. And I would like to see Astral Authority throw him onto a support that he can choose to play aggressive with. We saw things kind of flounder around whenever he was thrown into the Geb, and I just don't like the passive playstyle for Astral. I want to see them come out swinging.
I agree, and it's funny because historically, Inbound has played a boatload of Geb. He was a Geb main last year, but I think Season 5 is a little bit different. And at the same time, it's also, I prefer him. I know he's played the Geb. I prefer him when he's able to be aggressive and everything. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Coach Gundy in the back, by the way, from Long Island. Rival 2 bans, it's Odin and the Giannis. Astral going to ban out the Zeus Juice and the Achilles. No surprise there. You were talking about Ratatasker. Is that a first pick for Team Rival?
Potentially. I mean, Astral Authority has to be aware that this is a possibility, but the Terra run back, I mean, this is exactly what we saw Game 1 against Elevate in the last set, where Rival just snap-locked that Terra immediately, and then their second and third picks were actually the Hachim and Zeus, so this is the response period for Astral now. They can choose to go for a top priority pick, like the Uller possibly, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see them maybe looking to flex that.
Yeah, I think the Hachiman has tremendous synergy with the Zeus, and that's why we saw that combination. Now that Zeus is banned out, I think that we might see a Forge Coast on the Uber if he does have the opportunity. The Cerberus is extremely highly sought after in the console world, so he'll be locked in. Daji as well for Astral. Option over to Rival.
And I really like these 2 picks already from Astral because not only do they provide a ton of utility and setup, but it's also just such an aggressive comp for burning actives off cooldown. Cerberus maybe looking to see a couple of blinks even between these 2 god choices for Astral, and I think that the Daji, if piloted correctly, could definitely build up a huge lead. The only real concern I have about the Daji, though, is that if it is, or this might actually prompt Rival to steer away from that Zeus, because Daji is best against gods that don't have that CC immunity. I think that's why we see Astral opting for it so early on to prevent the third pick selection of the Zeus from Rival.
Rival locking in the Raven, the dive master here. Coviiii also. And I love the Coviiii, and this is so much less about X's and O's. Let me just be honest and say, Predators looks dope on it, so lock it in.
Okay. Oh yeah, I am very happy that this is not going to be a situation of any crazy Terra solos. I think that Rival just need to continue playing to their strengths. One of those very clearly Predators. This dude wants to brawl. He needs to be in the mix of things, and I love seeing him get into the thick of it because he can play it aggressively.
What I like the most about Rival throughout the course of this tournament, and I want to see if you agree, is the fact that it has they don't need the element of surprise. The Zeus came out and they won. And then they continued to win with the Zeus. Nobody, like, there's something to be said, okay, we didn't expect the Zeus, oh no. But then game 2 and 3, he's played 3 games of Zeus, and he never died. I don't think Rival need to surprise anybody. They just play well.
That is true, but at the same time, I still don't really want to see Rapio getting a chance to run it back on the Ratatasker. Astral already made, I think, one of the necessary adjustments for this first game in that they banned Zeus away in the first 2 picks.
Yep.
And I just think that this could pose a couple of complications towards the playstyle that Rival were initially hoping to draft towards.
Sure.
But having so much freedom in terms of being able to select a heavy burst composition, or maybe they want to focus more on the AoE, I think that Rival right now are trying to match that pick-per-pick composition.
It could be possible. Agni will be the middle laner of choice for Astral Authority. I like this choice. I think it allows the long-range initiation. I keep bringing up. I think it's a big deal. However, Agni's ability to dash away from Robin is really important because Robin's always going to be looking to just stab on Astral, dive that backline.
Robin can choose the full commit, but it's going to be complicated because of the Daji and the Kumbhakarna. Inbound with the Kumbha has a lot of interrupt factors.
Is it a problem that Astral didn't go for the Rat? I know that Robin is selected here, but that character can flex.
Robin can flex, but I think that this is going to be for Rapio simply because of the fact they already have the Colin and Terra. There's
no Robin support.
Really, I don't think that they can flex it that hard. I'm more interested to see what Rival are choosing to do with the Cupid and the Wave bans, because this is, to me, is just highlighting that Vaporish wants to force Coviiii into fighting him.
Yes.
And I know that Coviiii got the solo kill against Vaporish yesterday, but it could be a little bit more difficult to do in terms of Coviiii not really getting a comfort pick of his choice here.
That was very nice and political of you. I'm going to be a little bit more blunt. Yeah, Coviiii, he got that 1v1, but that's really not expected, and we don't know if he's going to do it again. He's looked fantastic on the Jingwei, and the Cupid has been sort of the go-to option for the Hunter because he doesn't have to be a hard carry. He can be a utilitarian-type player. So taking those away, forcing Coviiii into a choice here. Rival right now, they've hovered the Zhang Kui, they've hovered the Ram, trying to figure out what they want here for their last two selections. They need a middle laner and a Hunter.
The problem with going for the Ram, and I think this is where they have some difficulty deciding, is that there is a lot of interrupt in Astral's current draft. So for the Ram, he's not going to necessarily get that free cast
Let the hunt begin.
Attack speed steroids tend to get canceled out by Kumbhakarna.
Very, very true. Discordia in the mid lane for Fly, definitely a character that I think, one, can get dove on and work well with that, and two, Discordia, just Fly looked good on him. But the Artemis, this is a very good choice. This is one of the characters that Coviiii has been playing successfully. I do like this pick for Coviiii. They tried to ban him out, but he still gets a character that he's comfy on.
Well, it's not only that, but Artemis versus Ram in a pure 1v1, Artemis is considered the counter to Ram because she just places that trap at the bottom of his ultimate. As long as you don't let yourself get poked out prior to the Astral Barrage coming out, then you should be in a pretty good spot whenever he tries to land.
Well, it's going to be certainly very interesting here. Looking at the drafts from these two teams, I'm excited about what Rival are doing, but Astral Authority has just been the dominant force. I think it's not unfair to say that Astral is the top card here. I'm asking you to call it, and I know it's tough.
Rival look fantastic in their set against Elevate, but I love Astral's draft so much right now. I mean, I've been leaning a little bit more towards Rival. I'm not going to lie about it. I've definitely been a little bit biased towards these these EU guys this time around, but that Astral draft is nasty.
I just want to get into the action. Please bring us the game. We've got finals on the way.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Taco, Finch, and Aggro. Standing by. We're going to be moving into the grand finals here between Rival and Astral Authority. And seeing those picks and bans, I mean, I know you got to be just as excited as we heard Tom and Taco.
Yeah, I agree with Taco. I think Astral did a great job in the draft, but at the same time, Rival got Rapio a priority pick and the Raven that he really hasn't gotten all land so far, and Predators gets his Kakulin again. I can't wait to see how that works out in the the solo lane between Wolves and Predators. I think that could be the biggest matchup we see this entire finals.
Well, we should be ready to go ahead and move into the game and make sure that you do vote as well for who you think is going to win there in the Mixer poll. Should be available for you as Rapio having a good old time, as you said, on the Raven and feeling good here in this set versus Astral. Now, don't forget Astral, since they made it through the winners, they are going to have that one game advantage as well, but perhaps the advantage might go to Rival in terms of they're kind of warmed up.
I think that's fair to say. I'm always been partial to being a little bit warmer coming into these sorts of sets, especially if that was like a grueling 3-game set where it's 50-minute game after 50-minute game, then I think that Astral would be on the advantage there, but when it's a quick 2-0, like Rival just delivered to Elevate, where it didn't really feel like they broke much of a sweat, they got warm, they got confident. I think that Rival is coming into this feeling pretty good. The problem is that good feeling better than just an outright one-game advantage that Astral Authority has for coming from the winner's side?
Some poke goes onto Vapor's Coast, but looks like there won't be any problems. Wolves able to get a little bit of a life lead over Predators as well, but you talked about this already, man. These junglers, Rapio and Layers, and on the Raven pick in particular, there's been a lot of talk about the warrior jungles, that they have to get off to a good start. I mean, is that the same case with a Raven? I feel like it's just always good.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily the exact same thing. Hold on, we can go into that in a moment, because Inbound and Coviiii trying to contest this red buff, giving up the full wave. Vaporish, very low. Sprint pop by both sides, and oBoronic went towards red, so he's not going to be able to affect this, but the duo lane's still going for him.
They want to keep trying to chase Coast. Now they got the abilities back. Beato doesn't get rooted, but that's not going to stop the in-hand. Coviiii finds the last shot. First blood going over to Astral Authority. A good start.
I mean, you heard Bobby in the interview. Everyone's been talking trash about this Astral Authority duo lane, but they keep getting first bloods, and he's not wrong. That's another first blood for AA's duo lane, and that one just a little bit too aggressive. I don't think that DineOhSaw and Vaporish really expected Inbound and Coviiii to give up an entire wave on that left side, but in order to get beads and first blood out of it, it's a worthwhile trade.
And in the end, they chase them down, able to find that kill. Now they do return back over to the lane. Inbound Coviiii once again going to be pushing that up since DineOhSaw and Vapore's Coast had to take a little bit of a longer way back. In particular, Vapore's Coast who took the spill. They at least have the purple buff for themselves. It's on DineOhSaw now, but they're still level 1. They're going to play this carefully up against the Kumbhakarna Artemis.
And Kumba and Artemis, I mean, usually you think of Artemis especially as a later game god. Kumba kind of is that mid-game control beast in the team fights, but their level 1 is difficult to handle because they both bring CC and damage at the same time. That Groggy Strike, and of course that suppress the insolent, if you will, that ability right there from Coviiii are just so good at controlling you in the early game. They aren't going to be great at clearing the wave itself, but as far as just outright damage to gods go, it's pretty solid for level 1, and it's not one of those dual lanes that you expect to be able to brawl particularly well early on, and they can't in lane, and that's why Inbound and Coviiii kind of took it out of the lane and into the jungle where they're at a better advantage.
And I want to talk about the differences in these two supports. Inbound, or Bobby rather, went with the boots star. He has boots 1 instead of going with the upgraded sprint, which DineOhSaw did have. They would have had that extra sort of haste effect to help them out, but they had to use the sprints defensively. That extra difference didn't even really come into... It didn't really matter in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. You don't get any extra movement speed by upgrading your Heavenly Wings. You just get an extra... You remove that basic attack penalty. So when you're on the run, it doesn't really help you out too much. And Vaporish and DineOhSaw playing Terra Ram, I was just saying about how good the level 1 is in terms of fighting for Kumba Artemis. Terra is not very good at fighting at level 1 in particular. Really needs to hit level 2 or 3 before she's willing to take some boxing fights. So just good identification by Astral Authority.
Good identification by Rapio as well, realizing that with Wolves engaged there in the solo lane, that he can go up and grab that blue buff. They are going to pull that one away from him. That can hurt him some, but I mean, how much does that hurt Wolves? Is it more the experience loss, or does the servers really want that blue?
It's a Guardian, and usually Guardians are a little bit more blue buff dependent than Warriors, but in Cerberus' case, he doesn't really need it too badly, especially with not having a way to interrupt that Ghastly Breath very easily for Predators. He doesn't really worry too much about it not getting his blue buff Wolves. It's more about that golden experience and trying to keep Predators ahead in that lane. It looks like they're about even right now.
Bit of a chance for a collapse here. Ultimate comes out for 50-meter fly, but no chance to follow up. Layers goes up onto the Palau, lands the change. He's going to pull in 1 to the damage from Oboronic. But more importantly, really was keeping Layers alive, and he is out of there.
Well, Fly also used the Purification Beads. A little bit of an early ultimate, I would say, from 50-meter Fly. Probably trying to predict Layers jumping on top of him, as Oboronic is going to push up in that 2v1 still. A little bit early on the trigger overall, but I like the thought process there from 50-meter Fly.
In the end, he ends up all right. Believe it or not, it seemed like they were the ones that had a chance, maybe some kill potential into Layers, but the Palau makes them so safe. So everybody makes it back out of there in the end. They come back and grab their own red buff. But as you highlighted, Oboronic was not under any duress, did not have to use his beads. It'll be a bit of an advantage there in the mid lane as DineOhSaw takes some damage.
Coviiii as well, taking some good poke there. No sprint used. Thought that could have been an opportunity for DineOhSaw and Vaporish to go aggressive. Coviiii still sitting at only level 4. Once Artemis hits level 5, it's a lot harder to full-on commit to her because you'll need to commit Purification Beads and a sprint. That was the opportunity in my mind to go a little bit more aggressive. Surprised that Rival didn't take it.
Taking another back look over at the solo lane, Predators is doing what Predators does and playing aggressive. Could be trouble, though, as Layers is here to help out with Wolves. He does have that Rage transformation. But that's not going to deter Wolves, who jumps in aggressively. Layers, though, did kind of fall back. So they're not really looking for the kill potential here. They're just going to try and keep things even as Rapio's making another rotation.
Looking for that blue buff once more on respawn, but this time Layers is here. Could decide to start it up. Rapio going to take some decent damage from that Ghastly Breath. Wolves going to pick up both. That forces the beads out from Rapio, but Predator still going aggressive.
He drops the ultimate that sets up for the root to come in the Layers. Rapio finds the hit and finds the kill as well. 1-1 now. And they're going to continue to chase down more Wolves and push him back towards his tower line. Ghastly Breath doing good damage, but with 50-meter Fly making the rotation as well, he certainly had to back out of there.
Layers just a little bit too aggressive without his ultimate. I thought it was going to be coming up any moment, but it came up after he had already died, and just without that ultimate, and beads aren't really going to help you there, Finch. You're looking for that extra bit of take yourself out of combat from the Palau, get up and out of the way of all that extra damage. And Layers didn't respect the amount of damage that the Robin jungle was going to do early on to him.
And Rapio kind of waited a little while to use the beads when he first gets picked up by Wolves in the air. And initially I was wondering why, but maybe it's Wolves had thought, okay, I am going to actually get away with the pull. Then Rapio reads the situation, comes back down, and is able to move in and follow up off Predator's ult to get some good damage on the Layers. And they end up getting that kill, evens it up. Again, Astral had started things off with that kill in the duo lane.
Not the best use of purification beads from Rapio, but it doesn't really impact him that much because he's Robin and he has so many options to still stay safe without purification beads. oBoronic needs to try and get safer than he is right now. He'll dash away underneath his tower with Rapio wrapping around that backside. Robin just has access to overhead kick and Mystic Rush. Both of those options will get him out of that powwow pool from Dodgy, and that's the real reason you're looking for purification beads here, alongside the Kumba Mez and just the nonsense that Kumba brings with his constant amount of CC.
So safe, isn't he, Robin, in the jungle? Part of why he can afford to go so high damage, right? Like sometimes see those junglers build some defensive options, but a lot of the times Robin's like, nah, man, let me just build all damage and punch you in the face, as he tried it in the mid lane with oBoronic, who avoids it. Inbound, gonna take a little bit of poke here in the duo lane, but still no real worries about it. No junglers around, so they should be okay.
And despite that first blood, it's not really impacting this lane too much for Team Rival. Duo lane is at the bottom of the net worth charts, but not by the full 500 gold that you usually expect from a first blood, and Vaporish is actually a little bit ahead in his Devourer's Gauntlet stacks, as once more Rapio continues to put pressure on this right side blue buff. This time Layers isn't here to contest. He does Oracles on the left, but doesn't really get anything else out of it. So Wolves is going to start to fall farther behind now that he's lost multiple blue buffs in a row.
And this is Rapio, like you said, showing a lot of attention over here to the solo lane, which I feel like we didn't used to see as much of, but they're recognizing that they've got a chance on this Guardian early to try and slow down the impact. Wolves has done a good job, maybe not of being in danger of losing his life, but he has been having that buff repeatedly stripped away, which is starting to help out Predators a little bit more.
Well, as I said, I think this is kind of one of the matchups, if not the matchup to look at for who's going to win this set, is Wolves versus Predators, because Wolves has really returned to form, been a dominant force in the solo lane so far this weekend, and Predators has had a great showing on the Coviiii, so in particular. So if he can continue to do that, then I think Rival's in a good spot. But now Predators has to be careful. No ult and Layers is here.
Yeah, trying to relieve some of this pressure for Wolves. Predators able to avoid getting jumped on here. And it forces more Wolves back. So Layers comes in, just forces them off the tower line. They can't find anything more. And instead they can start making the rotation to the mid lane. But meanwhile, Coviiii is in trouble. Drops the board, which does get the stun. Coast uses the beads, though, so he's able to keep right on chasing. Sprints enough. They find the kill 2v1 on Coviiii.
Love DineOhSaw's positioning there, because even though the beads were good from Coviiii, the way that DineOhSaw set up the walls, it cut off Coviiii from escaping anyways. It still gave that half a second where he had to get body blocked by the walls. Beads helped him out a little bit, but with that Earth and Fury, it just does so much additional damage. Sprint as well.
Yep.
Good commit onto Coviiii, and already after that first blood, Vaporish is already back in the lead.
Yeah, I think that sprint was a big part of it as well, along with the wall. And that was what they didn't get a chance to do early on, right? Was play it aggressive. It seemed clear that that was the idea by investing that extra gold into upgrading the sprint at this point. And now finally we're seeing some of that when Bobby starts to rotate a little bit here on the Kumbhakarna, and then the 2v1 is able to go their way.
As soon as Inbound leaves lane, that's exactly where DineOhSaw goes back to try and put pressure onto Coviiii, and it works out really, really well for the side of Team Rival. And now I don't even know that Vaporish Coast needs any help for the next few moments, because without Coviiii having ultimate, then Vaporish does have ult. Vaporish can kind of just roll in, especially considering Vaporish has his completed Ninja Tabi, whereas Coviii's only sitting on boots 2. That's why Inbound is over here on the left-hand side again, to provide Coviiii with some additional support.
Look where Predators is on the map as Layers take some poke. He's in between the tier 1 and tier 2. He's actually making a rotation over. This is just how Predators plays, man. He's in the enemy jungle, playing aggressive and always looking for more. This actually could be trouble for Layers as he jumps in, uses the Pal to avoid getting knocked up, but none of the chains land. Predators can continue to chase it now with DineOhSaw and Vaporish Coast coming in as well. The snipe hits and he's down.
Predators' rotation, that's so difficult to track. No wards there, no minions saw him either, and he's still going in. Coviii's gonna use the ultimate to try and get away. Sprint used as well by Inbound, and that will get Coviiii out of danger, as Rapio's taken quite a bit from Wolves on the back.
Wolves is going to use Stygian Torment. That's going to pull him up and bring him right deck down. Even though he got rooted, Wolves had the damage necessary. So at least finding the kill on the Rapio, who sort of ended up isolated by the Cerberus. But I mean, all credit to Predators. I mean, they've got tons of wards up there. He makes that rotation through and is able to catch Layers low health in the jungle.
And that's what that all just comes back to Rapio's decision to put pressure on the right-hand side. It's onto the blue buff. It's to keep Predators ahead, and now he's able to clear the wave a little bit faster and get those sort of deep rotations into the enemy jungle. And Wolves actually makes a big play, though. I mean, Predators is the one that we're talking about, but Wolves being able to solo Rapio in that right side jungle is huge, because that gives Wolves a big boost. And now look at this. He's going for the speed buff. This is going to go down. in Astral Authority's favor, Wolves, this is what you expect out of this dude. You just need, when you need a big play, Wolves is your guy.
Wolves does take a good bit of poke, though, from the Discordia. Predators is here to continue to fight, but so is the entirety of Astral Authority, which has never slowed Predators down before. Bomb's going to continue to rain in from Oboronic. Now, Inbound is the one that could potentially be in trouble. He does get the walls on him, but he is able to make it on out of there with the dash. Much ado about nothing in the end.
Predators really, really close to falling there, but just that's where that lead again comes into play. Got a nice knock-up. Oboronic is not doing quite enough damage yet, and that's in part because of the Warlock staff rush that Oboronic has gone for, but he's nearly done with it. And once he finishes off a third item, I'd love to see something like a Spear of the Magus to try and boost up his damage and the damage coming out of Wolves, something that both of them can benefit from, because Wolves is going to be already shredding a lot of those prots from the Anchile that Predators has gone for. But if you can start doing true damage between Wolves and Oboronic onto this Coviiii, he won't feel that tanky for long.
And I like that Wolves, I mean, it's one thing to go steal the speed buff, but he does pick it up too, doesn't he? And move around. Like, you can drop it and leave it and go get your own blue, but Wolves wants to zoom around a little bit further. I mean, for all we've been talking about Predators' lead, it's not over Wolves.
No.
He's about a level and a half or so behind, because Wolves is kind of stuck to lane a little bit more and been farming it up. So Predators may be ahead of sort of the rest of the map, but not so much against the other solo lane opponents.
Well, Wolves, he did have that lead over Wolves before the rotation where Wolves gets the solo kills. Layers just able to avoid that nice bounce from 50-meter fly. Does force out that Powwow ultimate, and he'll go underneath the tower, but so will Rapio trying to chase him down, but not successful.
Wow.
And he gets between the Predators. What's up, buddy? Another rotation into the enemy jungle, and Layers again gets chased down.
Man, I bet that's what comms look like too, but Predators, right?
Yeah.
Like, just what can you do when this guy's making rotations like that? He's going aggressive now, looking for the enemy speed as well. And I believe he was able to drop it as he tries to pick it up, but already has blue. Gets the Rainfire in from Oboronic as well, but Predators is fine. He's even taken more buffs away. This guy is undeterred at any point.
Still about half HP now, though. Does need to be a little bit careful about Wolves, who
He should be, but I don't think he is.
he never will be. Predators is that kind of play style, right? Of just the unwavering aggression. Even in the face of certain doom, this man is going to jump in. And that's kind of what you want out of your solo laner,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Just stupid levels of aggression that sometimes don't even make sense. But if the enemy team isn't ready for it, how can they prepare for what you've got to throw at them?
Yeah, if my solo laner gets a lead as the blink comes out from Wolves, almost caught him there, but just barely gets the back off. If my solo laner gets a lead and just chills in lane, that lead does nothing for me. You know,
Right.
you want exactly this. Sometimes Predators doesn't even have a lead; he's just rotating anyway. I mean, this dude is always trying to have an impact in a big way, and that clears up a lot of space for the rest of this rival roster.
And we talked so much about Rapio setting over that right-hand side and trying to get Predators ahead. Well, that has ended up being paid back by Predators getting Rapio ahead now, because that's twice that Layers has been killed because of rotations in from Predators, whether it's Predators getting the last hit or not. And now Rapio's got a pretty substantial lead in the jungle because of it. So I love the way that Rivals transitioned that lead from solo. Now Predators has lost it because he's rotated a lot and Wolves has made some good plays, but now Layers is very far behind. And it's stuff like that, just constantly stealing Layers' farm, just poking his head in, stealing away XP, stealing speed, going to the left side back harpies. That's really difficult for a Dodgy to deal with.
Some aggression from DineOhSaw. Earth and Fury has dropped Coviiii. In response, drops the board, but where is Rapio yet again? He's here causing problems for Coviiii. The Hunter is already out of the fight. Layers up on the Powwow. Does find the chain, so at least DineOhSaw gets pulled, but the root lands, and they're going to continue putting in damage because Vapor's Coast is here too. Double kill for Rapio, and Bobby's going to fall as well. Make it a triple as Rapio dominates the left-hand side.
There's a reason that Rapio hasn't gotten Robin yet this tournament. It's because he makes plays like this. Wolves is here, picks up one with that Stygian Torment. Oboronic can't really follow up because Wolves has to escape from the big damage, but I don't think he will. Another kill goes Rival's way. Oboronic looking to answer back onto Rapio, but doesn't quite have the cooldowns.
And now Predators is here as well. He's going to have the Thorns ticking. The Aegis is going to come out, but he gets locked down by the knockup. That's a full 5-mana wipe that Team Rival were able to take on the left-hand side. Vapor's Coast finally coming down towards the Gold Fury as well to get that objective started as they get a ton of kills and all the pressure you could want.
This is what having good performances on off-meta gods does for your draft, because Robin has been permabanned against Rival so far this weekend. But 50-meter fly has 3 phenomenal Zeus games, and Astral say, okay, we've seen enough. We don't want to let you play that. But it opens up the opportunity to draft the Robin. And that's what good teams do to you. They force you into unwinnable situations. Do you give them this or that? Well, which one do we have at least a hope of beating? right now it looks like it might be neither, because Rapio on this Robin has been really good so far.
And what I love about this rival team is they look like a relay race team or something. Like they're passing the baton all the time. You know, at the beginning, Rapio is giving extra attention to Solo so Predators can make plays. Now Predators is helping out with Rapio, and Rapio is rotating around making plays. And then Vapor's coach going to step up for them late game because he's starting to go into that crit build yet again. They do such a good job of recognizing where each individual's power spikes are, playing around them, and there's any egos to it. Whoever is the one that's strong right now, make the plays.
And I think that's a really great point, because in the past with these European console teams, specifically Rival, whether it was with their old rosters or whatever, it always felt like whenever things started going poorly, they would just default to being better. They're so used to being better than everyone else in their region. This is the best team play we've ever seen from a European console side, and it's paying off beautifully.
Got good pressure onto Inbound. They had to drop their own Earth and Fury, did Team Rival from DineOhSaw, but they also get the ultimate from Inbound as well, who does have to retreat. They didn't have sprint available, so those weren't used, as Predators again goes aggressive into the jungle. Layers is up onto the Palau. Oboronic is here. Stygian Tormat comes out as well. Lots of ultimates committed, but Predators is still fine. In fact, Rapio is now here as well.
Now it's the 2v4 right now, and Rival still feel like they're winning it. Layers gonna blink in and immediately exit stage right, as Predators now trying to get on the run, but a
good
nice
damage.
strike for 50-meter fly, and the prediction with the golden apple. Snipes are there, but Rapio will finish it anyways. 11-2 now for Team Rival.
Rival off to such a dominant start here up against Astral Authority, and it's off this excellent team plan. I think they're going to come down and grab this Pyromancer. They certainly are. Predators, I mean, my man goes in and beats out so much of them early on, and as you point out, it did nothing, didn't it? So now Rapio and the rest of the squad can rotate in, and they basically win the fight. Fire Giant being looked at, but Wolves is right around the corner.
This is where you need your star players to make big plays, and Wolves is just going to have to try and steal this away with a cheeky little one, and he got it! Are you kidding me?
Astral Authority get the Fire Giant, and Wolves steals it over the wall. No one knew that he was there. Predators, you can take him if you want, but he's already gotten the objective. That's going to put the handbrake on for Team Rival, at least for a little while. Wolves with an individual play.
And Coviii's going to be able to get this tier 1 on the left, maybe even a tier 2 with the Fire Giant around his waist. He's going to be doing a lot more damage to that tier 2, though it looks like Fly backed in time to be able to stop that. But like I said, man, sometimes you just need everything's going wrong, and you need someone to step up and make the unlikely play, and that's Wolves right there. Incredible.
And that's just a little bit from Rival of maybe feeling the lead a little bit too much. And these guys are very emotional, they're very energetic. You see it in their player cams all the time, right? When they're winning, they're popping off, and a lot of these box guys are. But you gotta just make sure that you know where people are on the map. And Wolves didn't even move. He kind of just parked right there behind the Fire Giant and waited. And no one was looking around. There were no ward coverage, nothing like that. So I get it. It was in the moment. They went to go grab it. They thought they had control, but Wolves was there.
I just wonder if anyone from Rival had a sentry ward in inventory that they didn't use on the Fire Giant, because Wolves did have vision.
That's right,
on that health.
Inbound could be in a little bit of trouble. Had to use the epic uppercut, but Rapio undeterred. Oboronic and Coviiii going to show up. Maybe that will slow them down. Remember, they could be making this push with the Fire Giant, but the big play from Wolves is going to make this a little bit harder. Predators now on the backside as Bobby tries to back. Thorns goes in, and the knockup comes in on the 2.
Now he's going to keep going on to Inbound. Coviii's already used the beat. Snipe from Vaporish, a little bit out of range, but tier 2's nice and tasty now as Oboronic gets finished off by Rapio. In the backside, Wolves doing what he can against 50-meter fly, and he just can't find that kill. Rapio with the good turnaround damage via the peel via damage, I should say, gets him the double kill and saves Fly's life.
Yeah, the Aegis was big there for 50-meter Fly to keep him alive through the damage, because that's what the call was from Wolves. Even though the dive was on from Predators, he did the same thing and tried to keep 3 busy. Unfortunately, it meant Oboronic did fall, and Wolves himself died as well. Tier 2 tower crumbles. Even without the Fire Giant, Rival continue to push on the gas. You got to think, though, this siege could have just been even that much easier without that good play from Wolves.
But that's the thing. I think a lot of the old Rival teams, if they lose Fire Giant like that, that really hurts them mentally.
They don't push at all,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
They're just like, okay, well, now let's just wait out Fire Giant. And that's let Astral Authority catch up very easily. Not this team. They immediately go, okay, that sucked. Let's just do better next time. And they immediately start pressuring into Astral Authority, understanding that they are still in a really, really good spot in this game. I love the mentality that we're seeing out of this Rival squad.
Gold Fury does go down for Team Rival, and I mentioned it earlier. Vaporish Coast is going to be itemizing into crit. It's something he's done all tournament long, and that's what I was going to ask you. Wolves has elected to go into the teleport blink, the shell from Bobby. I mean, do you got to go Thorns up against Vapors if he's always going to do crit? I mean, are you forced into that?
It's certainly tempting, but I don't think you need it every time. If it's against a mage that really struggles against Thorns, Zeus is one that has trouble against Thorns because once he puts out his damage, it's out there. You know, he can't really stop it from happening. I don't think I love Thorns into Discordia overall, and I think that with the way that Wolves is playing, they really need him to be an initiator at times or be the backline assassin at times almost, like he just tried to do to 50-meter fly-in during that last tier 2 tower push. And for that, he kind of needs Blink to get engaged in those team fights. So I'm sure he wishes he had a third relic slot to pick up Thorns.
You'd love to put it in there, right?
You just got to make a choice sometimes, and in this situation, Blink is going to work out a little bit better for him.
And the reason that I like it and I bring it up is because I think it was a recognition of where the danger was from Rival early on. Predators and Rapio got off to such a strong start. I think they would prefer, rather than have someone to try and shut down Vaporish Coast, another way to have an initiation from their team. And so Wolves goes that route instead. I think they recognize this is probably going to happen. Sure, he's going to build the crit, but we need something else from Wolves this game. They recognize it early as tier 2 tower and right falls as well.
Look at the left. Predators is going in against everybody on this left-hand side, and
that's what he does.
Cost Layers his ultimate as well. Going to try and pull him in. Will do so successfully, but Predator is still alive, whereas on the right-hand side, oBoronic is not.
Yeah, this is a bad situation for Astral. They are able to get the kill, but meanwhile, the whole team is able to find Wolves on the right-hand side, and now the Phoenix will surely fall as well, and they still have not even started their backs. I think they considered the tier 2, but instead froze, and now they get the Phoenix on the right-hand side. They get the kills. Rapio even going to dance a little bit on his way out. What an excellent play from Rival and Predators.
Oh, and that feels really bad, too. I love Rival just playing with confidence, and they know that they just played Astral Authority because Astral committed so much to staying on the left-hand side to get that tier 2 tower, and then they never even got the tier 2 tower because Rival was threatening to end the game potentially. So just Astral Authority tries to go for a more aggressive play, and I like the mindset, but you kind of got to commit at least one person to staying there until you see the Rival's actually pushing for the Titan. If Coviiii stays alone, or if even anybody, Layers, stays alone there on that tier 2, make sure you get that, then back to base. You could always start to back that third person as soon as you see Rival pushing forward. You don't need to send all 3 back right away.
And that's the part that's the most, I think, interesting, is Bobby could be in trouble here. The stun does not land, so he is going to be able to make it out. But it's one thing to make the call to go that way and have Predators like delay your backs. But once they'd killed Predators, it was like this freeze where they couldn't decide what to do. They didn't back, they didn't push into the tower, and that's the part that I think could potentially be a problem. In that moment, there needs to be a clear call, as you mentioned, on what to do. And instead, Astral just keep pushing right into the Phoenix, and they're able to back for free without giving up anything.
Wolves going to try and gain Sentry Vision, but it's still his team Rivals. His Wolves going to jump forward, looking for Vaporish. That'll be responded with the ultimate. His Layers has to go up into the powwow
to try and avoid getting a little bit more damage. Predators is here, though, to continue pushing forward for the rest of his squad.
Coviii's not even hitting him. Coviii's not even auto-attacking Predators because he knows it's useless at this point, that he just has to get on the run. He'll never kill Predators before help starts coming.
Layers going to keep pushing in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Coviiii is in trouble. Rapio goes up and right back down. 50-meter fly drops the ultimate. That does land on the Wolves, but they're not even looking to keep pushing any further forward. They're trying to create some space for this Fire Giant, which is already at half health.
And Layers has just given up on the team fighting stage at this point. He used that ultimate and was like, all right, dude, see you later. I'm going to go to the left-hand side, try and steal some farm away.
Yeah, do things. I thought maybe he was trying to push the mid tower, but I maybe didn't have the minion wave there for it. So instead, just trying to grab whatever farm he can. You mentioned it earlier. He's been behind Rapio all game, basically, or once they finally were able to get that little bit of a lead for him. 9-1-4 for his opposing jungler, Rapio.
And I love the Robin matchup into Dodgy because it is so difficult to confirm that Powwow pull onto the enemy jungler. And so I'm kind of surprised they didn't just let Rival pick the Zeus. I feel like Zeus is a much easier pick to punish than the Robin. Robin may not be super effective all the time, but he's always going to do something.
Wolves comes in for the ultimate, but the damage from Vaporish Coast is just too much. He gets deleted. Predators finds the last hit. 5v4 now in favor as Rapio enjoys the moment. Epic uppercut comes out from Bobby, but Predators is causing problems for oBoronic on the backhand side. Mid Phoenix has been destroyed. Only one Phoenix standing as Team Rival rotate left.
Predators down below half HP now, but does have his teleport available. Could easily just back and TP in to a ward should he need to, but might not even have to worry about it. Inbound Inbound gets crushed down by Team Rival. Fly gets his third in a row.
Predators jumps away. He could have been low. Layers goes up onto the pal out, does land the chain, and is going to be able to bring in the pull. Coviiii finally takes down the Coviiii, but Phoenix is under siege and has fallen. All 3 Firebirds taken down by Team Rival. Even with one last pick coming back, they are not deterred. In fact, they're ready to start pushing in this 4v3.
Fire Minion Wave coming in from the right-hand side, but no frontliners are up right now for Astral Authority. I think if Wolves or Inbound is alive, in that last little spot where the old Western standoff happened on the left side there after the Phoenix went down, I think we see AA push forward, but no one is really tanky enough to be that initiator that was alive. So instead, Astral Authority back up and try and defend their base.
And they got to fall back in that situation. Does Astral Rival? For a moment, I thought they were just going to go in and fight for it because that's what these Rival boys do, but they do back off. They got all 3 Phoenixes. They now have the Gold Fury going for them as well. This gold lead continues to get even further out of control, and there's certainly still some relevance to it. I mean, there's still a lot of blessings online for Astral Authority. They are not full slotted, so Rival's certainly enjoying this lead.
Astral has just lost some of their aggressiveness. I think that's really where the problem came from in this game. Was Rapio and Predators were so aggressive early on that I think it kind of caught Astral Authority off guard. You heard both sides saying in the interview, yeah, NA's usually a little bit more aggressive. Rival wants to wait it out, play for the team fights. And when that didn't happen, I don't think Astral was really ready for it. I mean, oBoronic and Layers are on Dodgy Agni, 2 gods that can fight pretty early on.
Right.
And they never really tried to attack a 50-meter Fly at all. I wonder how much damage Fly has taken in this game, because I felt like the only time we've seen him low was in that tier 2, when on the tier 2 siege when Wolves almost kills him. Other than that, Fly has taken nearly no damage this entire game, and that's kind of been the story for him so far this weekend, is that he really just doesn't take that much damage. His positioning has been really, really good.
He looks so strong, doesn't he? 50-meter Fly for this squad. And part of it is that Layers, as you mentioned, has not had a chance to play aggressive as Phoenix on the right-hand side falls. Now, with Fire Minions coming in from every possible angle, Astral have to buckle down in the Titan room and try and make the defense Team Rival group.
Left side, Phoenix is already down as well. It's not even that close to coming back up. Mid Phoenix will be next, but right now, Team Rival just kind of waiting for Astral to make one small mistake, or they could just wait for the Fire Minion waves to push in and just tank up that Titan for a moment, because just a couple autos from Vaporish can basically end this game at this point.
Yeah, we definitely transitioned to the point where Vaporish coast damage is just a little bit too much for the squad, and he's free to cast, but now is the time to move in. DineOhSaw is going to be the first wave of initiation. Vaporish coast is forced to go up and use the open. 50-meter Fly is already down. oBoronic has him, but the Titan is just too low. It might have been a good defense, but it was too little too late. Team Rival come in and even up the set.
Wow, just like that, and that felt really easy, didn't it, Finch?
It did,
I mean,
yeah.
Astral barely put up a fight in that game, and I don't know what Rival did last night to prepare, but they look really ready for today. They looked clean against Elevate. They looked like they came in with a solid game plan. Astral Authority seems to have been caught a little bit off guard by what Rival has gone for, which is pressure in that solo side of the map in particular. And I just want to know where Astral's going to go next, because this clearly something is not right for Astral Authority. If they're going to give Predators Cullen, if they're going to give Rapio Robin, they've got to have more pressure on that right side of the map. Wolves did so well in that game. He played out of his mind, but he's still Cerberus. He's still not going to be able to match the rotation speed and power of something like a Coviiii.
And it's tough, too, because I felt like the picks and bans from Astral were actually not that bad. They made the adjustment and take away the Zeus to try and mitigate some of what Rival have been doing very well today. And I thought they got a lot of what they wanted, but still, as you mentioned, Rival kind of like they just walked through them in this game. It was a very, very strong performance by them, and now it's essentially in a best of 3, though I do want to ask you who at home you think your MVP was. Ryan, I'm sure you've got a couple thoughts.
It's either got to be Predators or Rapio. I think you're fine with either one of those guys. They both played really well.
Yeah, there's like the baton pass, like I said during the cast. I feel like between those two, they got an early lead pass it between the two of them, and there's really no way for Astral to respond. But that is only game 1. Astral certainly have chances to try and slow down this Rival squad. Let's get it back to the desk to break it down.
Thanks a lot, Finch. Thanks a lot, Ryan, Tom, Taco, and we've got Toli here one more time. How you doing, Toli?
I'm feeling good. I'm back just like Rival is in this set after that victory.
And I mean, Rival, this is interesting because, like we said, not exactly the top card. I think Astral Authority kind of considered the de facto winner here. They came in through the winner's bracket, but Rival hit the gas, and nobody told them that the last set was over because they're continuing to crush.
It's very difficult, I think, to try and slow down Rival right now, but that's exactly what Astral have to do if they want to find themselves being able to contest this momentum by Rival. They've just been on the gas pedal, like you mentioned, since the very start of today. Even in that set against Elevate, they've clearly been so very bloodthirsty, and they're not looking to slow down anytime soon.
And this guy, this is the poster child of Team Rival. As he dropped his last team, picked up the 4 teammates surrounding him. Rapio earns his MVP for this game.
Switching things up, playing the Ratatasker in the previous set up against Elevate, this time piloting the Rav and outweighing LayersOD on the Dodge. A formidable opponent, honestly, because when you think of console junglers, you certainly lean on the North American side of Layers, but on the European side, Rapio has always been that staple person when you think of it, and his aggression shows it. It really led to the early game momentum from Rival.
He also dyed his hair there, I think. Kind of interesting. Anyway, Coach Joey putting on the headset right now, getting ready for game number 2. What's the biggest adaptation you want to see Rival make here?
I actually thought that Astral had the better draft, if I'm being completely real here. I just think that Rival played theirs better. Their execution was super on point, and despite Astral having what felt like a control composition, Rival, once they established a lead, they never let it go.
It's definitely important for, I think it's also coming in cold. Astral Authority were kind of spectating and watching that last kind of game against Elevate, and they didn't really make too many plays except for that one that Wolves did around that 18-minute mark when he eventually stole the Fire Giant, which stopped the bleeding for the moment, but couldn't really plug up that hole.
Still very exciting. I mean, Wolves is repeatedly the guy that people look to on this Astral team, and even the teams before that, to really make the impact. And to see Wolves make that play when his team is down and arguably out, really big deal.
You know what I've noticed, though, is that Rival keeps winning these games despite losing the Fire Giant. So
yeah,
maybe you just let them have it from the start, and that could be the trick to actually forcing them to drop the ball.
I mean, you know, it's funny, we kind of make a joke there, but at the end of the day, what we see is that Rival actually, they wind up taking that fight after the Fire Giant gets stolen. They wind up getting at least 1 kill or whatnot off of it. So you might be onto something there, Taco.
It's definitely possible, because Rival, we saw how slow they ended that last set against Elevate. They were very methodical. They wanted to make sure everything was green lights galore before they went for that final push. And against Astral here, I think they're really upset about their performance yesterday when it was down 2-1, and I think they could have easily swung that back in their favor in game number 3, but that Fire Giant has always been the bane for them. So they're taking it slow here, and they're still able to really perform, tying the set now, turning this best of 5 into essentially a best of 3.